Bridget, I've never pitched a deal. In all these
Mm-hmm.
years, I've never pitched a deal, taught the opportunity first. They understand what the deal is, and then I simply call them up and fulfill.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. I'm so excited today. We have a special guest, Jay Conner. Jay Conner, known as the Private Money Authority. Jay, welcome to The Inner Estate.
Bridget, thank you so much for inviting me to come along and talk about what I'm so passionate about, and that's private money for funding your real estate deals, because this one strategy, this one way of doing business to get funding for your deals has had more of an impact on our real estate investing business than any other strategy. Ever since starting to use private money years ago, never missed out on a deal for not having the money.
That's incredible. So take us back, Jay. 2003, you and your wife, I believe, you started we're going to build a real estate portfolio. We're going to build our wealth through owning some dirt and owning some doors. And you started out doing it in the traditional manner, correct? You were getting mortgages from banks and lenders.
Yep. Those first 6 years, from 2003 to January of 2009, the only way I knew to fund my deals was have a line of credit at the local bank, and they made the rules as traditional funding goes, and appraisals and taking 30 to 40 days to close. That all worked out, Bridget, okay, the first 6 years, 2003 to January 2009. But then everything changed.
Yes, it did.
Changed in January of 2009.
Everything changed with a capital C. Yes. So the avenue of securing what I'll call the more traditional form of financing was no longer available, correct?
That's right. Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday. I called up my banker. His name was Steve. I had 2 houses under contract. This was January 2009. And Bridget, I thought I still had a line of credit at the bank prior to the phone call, prior to putting my deals under contract. And so I get Steve on the phone, and I learned that my line of credit had been closed with no notice to me. It's like, it would have been nice to let me know to stop making offers, on deals. Anyway, I said, Steve, what in the world are you telling me? My line of credit's been closed. We've done a ton of deals in these 6 years. I've always made my payments on time. I got a great credit score. What's the problem? Yeah. Steve said, Jay, don't you know there's a global financial crisis going on right now? I said, no, but you just gave me a financial crisis.
Yeah.
I don't have a way to fund these 2 deals. So anyway, I hung up the phone. Bridget, I sat here at my desk and I asked myself one of the most powerful questions ever I have asked myself. And so here's the question I asked myself. It's not how, it's who. I said, Jay, who do you know that can help you with your problem? That was the question I asked myself. And Bridget, these people running around saying every problem's an opportunity. I want to throw up. I did not have an opportunity. I had a problem. Now,
correct.
Did the problem become an opportunity? Yes, because I wouldn't be on your show without the problem. But at the point in time, I had a problem and I needed a solution. And when I asked myself that question, I immediately thought of a dear friend. His name was Jeff Blankenship. He was living in Greensboro, North Carolina at the time, and he was investing in single-family houses. I said, well, maybe Jeff can help me with my problem. So I called him up. I told him what had just happened. You know what Jeff said to me? He said, Jay, welcome to the club. I said, well, I'm not sure I want to be a member of that club, but what club are you talking about? He said, it's the club of having your bank close your line of credit. He said, the bank closed his line of credit last week. And I said, well, Jeff, how are you going to fund your real estate deals? He says, well, have you ever heard of private money? I said, no. He says, have you ever heard of self-directed IRA companies to where ordinary people can move their retirement funds over to a self-directed IRA company? And loan money out to us, real estate investors, and the interest we pay them is either tax deferred or tax free, depending on their account. I said, Jeff, you're talking Greek to me, man.
Gobbledygook.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, what is private money? He said, well, I'm not exactly sure. He says, but there's this gentleman down in Jacksonville, Florida, by the name of Ron LeGrand that can teach us about private money. I said, well, what is it? He said, I just told you, I don't know, but Ron says we can get a lot of it really, really fast. So Jeff and I go to this conference to learn about private money. And oh my lands, Bridget, did I learn about private money? I learned so much. And I came back home here to Morehead City, North Carolina. And what did I do? I put my opportunity together. So no chasing, no begging, no selling. I put on the mindset. In fact, here's what my hat says. My hat says private money teacher.
Private money teacher.
Private money teacher. So I just went about educating people in my professional circles, in my social circles, in my service circles. I just went about educating people. I mean, I gave birth to private money. And the reason I say that is because when somebody's pregnant, that's all they can talk about.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all they
And
can
then
talk
after the baby's born, all they want to talk about is the baby.
That's right.
That's right.
So what did I do? I took on the mindset of being a teacher and educating. Carol Joy and I, my wife and I, we've had 47 individuals, private lenders, but they weren't private lenders. They didn't, not one of them ever heard of private money, didn't know what private money was, never heard of self-directed IRA companies until I educated them. So I took on this mindset of being an educator, not having any deals attached to it. Desperation has a smell to it. The worst time to be raising private money is when you need it.
That's right.
For a deal. And people smell that. They sense that desperation. Right. So I took on the mindset of being an educator and being a doctor. Now, I'm not a doctor, but they say Dr. J, he'll cure your business. I took on the mindset of diagnosing first if somebody had a problem, i.e., not happy with their returns. And one of my favorite definitions of malpractice is giving a prescription before a diagnosis.
Yes.
So I didn't go around throwing up on people about my wonderful private money, private lending opportunity and how you can earn high rates of return safely and securely. Nobody wants to hear that unless I first diagnose they might have a problem. And so just in my daily, conversations, I mean, I put on a luncheon, lunch and learn, whatever you want to call it. I call it a private money luncheon. And I had about 20 people there, had it at the Dunes Club, nice oceanfront view there. Well, just at that one luncheon, I raised $969,000 in pledged money to invest in our real estate deals. So something that's so important as far as mindset goes is the money goes first. Now, comes first. I mean, there's always deals. There's always going to be deals.
There's always deals.
Always does.
I can attest to that.
Just think, if you're listening to this show, how much more confident, how many more offers are you going to make if you got the money burning a hole in your pocket, right?
That's right.
And Bridget, now I'm going to take a little risk, and then I'm going to turn it back to you. But I'm going to take a little risk here. I'm going to ask you a question. I think I know the answer. Have you ever heard someone say, or the guru standing on stage talking to new real estate investors, have you ever heard anybody say, quote unquote, oh, just get the deal under contract. The money will show up.
That's right. Yes. Yes, I have heard that.
Oh, my word. Or they'll say, quote unquote, money finds good deals.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, let me ask a question. You get a deal under contract. Is a drone going to fly over your front door porch and just drop you a bag of money on your front porch because money finds good deals? Give me a break.
Unfortunately, no.
I want to throw up. And unfortunately, I've heard hundreds and hundreds of real estate investors say they bought that. I mean, they bought that thinking, and then the deal's under contract. It's like, where's the money?
Right.
So it just seems common sense to me to get the money lined up, the pledge.
Line the money up first.
And then you got a deal comes across your desk. You know exactly where the money's coming from. And then you pick up the phone. We actually still have handsets and cords here in North Carolina.
Love it.
But, I pick up the phone and I call my next private lender in the queue, and I give them what I call the good news phone call. And the good news phone call, here's the script. Bridget, I call you up. I say, you're one of my private lenders. I say, Bridget, I got great news. I can put your money to work. Got a house under contract in Newport. After repaired value is $200,000. Funding requires $150,000. Closings next Friday. You need to have your money wired to my real estate attorney's trust account by next Thursday. I want to have my real estate attorney email you the wiring instructions. End of conversation. The most stupid thing I could do is ask, do you want to fund the deal? Well, yes, you want to fund the deal. And the reason you want to fund the deal is, number one, you've been waiting for the phone call. You know, I'm not going to bring any deal to the phone conversation that doesn't match the criteria of the underwriting that I already taught you. And for goodness sakes, if you moved your $150,000 retirement money over to the self-directed IRA company, you trusted me to move your money and you're waiting on me to perform. You know, one big mistake that comes to mind right now that new capital raisers make is they talk too much. They talk too much. It's like they're trying to pitch the deal. Bridget, I've never pitched a deal in all these years. I've never pitched a deal, taught the opportunity first. They understand what the deal is. And then I simply call them up and fulfill. And by the way, these people are all ordinary people. This is not rich people. These are ordinary people that have never been exposed to this world. And so I'm viewed as the expert. My students and my mastermind members, they're viewed as the expert. And so they're leading, they're setting expectations, they're teaching, and it's all led with a servant's heart.
That's really remarkable. And I agree with you I agree with your hat, private money teacher, because you're educating on both sides. You're educating to the potential lenders to make sure that they understand they are waiting for that call.
Yes.
And then they are ready when the call comes in.
They're ecstatic.
And they're thrilled that they were next in line.
Yes.
And then they take action.
Absolutely.
And I believe that you're also educating the investors that want to take the action, not the lenders, but that want to buy the real estate
investors. Sure.
On the benefits for them. So so these sound phenomenal. And once you went to Jacksonville, Florida and got your education and started doing this since 2009, you have still been acquiring and building your portfolio or doing flips or whatever the opportunity is that comes your way. And you've been private money ever since.
Yes.
Correct?
That's correct. That's great. And since most of the deals we do are flips, now we don't use just private money. I bought a house this morning. I closed on it this morning. And my attorney's office is down the sidewalk, 12 steps. And we bought that house subject to the existing note, which means the seller of this property agrees to leave the mortgage in their name. My company agrees to make their payments, and we take ownership of that property. But we use private money for the renovation in second position a lot of times as well. So private money can be used for purchasing. Private money can be used for refinancing. If you've got cash in a property and you want to pull some of that cash out. And so it just really, really gives you the flexibility. You know, I think back to when I was cut off from the banks in 2009 and that story I shared. You know, it's really interesting as I look back. In 2009, banks were not loaning money at all. But all these foreclosures were going on by these people that should never have been given a mortgage in the first place. Well, so all these foreclosures are going on. Now, stop and think about this. The banks aren't loaning money. So the only way the foreclosures are going to be sold is if you've got the cash, right?
That's right.
So now it was like a vortex. I've got all this private money that I'm attracting, and now I can pick and choose the foreclosures. Our business tripled in 2009 because of the new funding that we got with private money.
That's remarkable. So I have a question for you. There are people that may be listening to us. Hopefully they hung around when they heard private money. And there's a lot of, I believe, I'll call it confusion or misconceptions with the general public. When they hear private money, they automatically think hard money or risky money or loan shark. You know, so there's a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
no,
man on
you're
the
right.
street
You're absolutely right.
has these misconceptions. So how would you explain that difference between loan shark and private money?
Yes. So here are the differences. A hard money lender, and I'll tell you the reason this confusion has come about. You have a lot of, and by the way, I'm not poo-pooing hard money lenders.
I'm not either.
Some of my best friends are hard money lenders. They use my
Mm-hmm.
techniques to go raise money for their hard money lending fund that they turn
Right.
around and loan back out. But here's the differences. First of all, hard money is institutional money, which means it's regulated by the commissioner of banks. Private money's not. So first of all, a private money transaction is a one-on-one transaction between you, the borrower, the real estate investor, developer, whatever, and your private money lender. There's no middle person. There's no brokerage. A hard money lender is typically a brokerage that has gone out and raised money for their hard money lending fund, and then they turn around and lend that out at a higher interest rate than they're paying their private lenders or investors that are investing in the fund. They charge points, origination fees. I've never paid any points. I've never paid any origination fees to my private lenders because there's no broker to pay. There's nobody in the middle of that. Another huge difference is what kind of, how much can you use? How much can you borrow? Well, the hard money lender is going to put a limit on the amount or the limit to the number of deals. There is no limit when you're doing private money and private lending. You have as many private lenders as you want, as much private money as you want, etc. Now, here's the big difference. The hard money lender makes the rules, just like a bank does. Hard money lender sets the interest rate, sets the points, sets the length of the note, sets the frequency of payments, sets the loan to value, all that underwriting stuff. Well, this world of private money, you as the real estate investor, the borrower, we make the rules. Instead of asking for a mortgage, we're offering an opportunity. So my opportunity is I've been paying all my private lenders 8% ever since 2009. The ups, the downs, the sideways, the mark, 8%. They love it compared to what they could get at the local bank.
That's right.
Saves 0.02%, a bit less than 3% on a 4-month CD,
Right.
So I set the interest rate, the opportunity, the length of the note. It's either 2 years or 5 years, depending on whether they're getting the money from. Maximum loan to value. We don't borrow more than 75% of the after repaired value. I didn't say 75% of the purchase price.
That's right.
75% of the after repaired value.
After repair value.
That's why we always bring home a check when we buy the property. It's like, who wants to get paid to buy properties? And so, those types of the terms. And so that's what we put our teacher hat on and teach the opportunity, the interest rate. How are you protected? We don't borrow unsecured funds. The SEC does not like that. So everything we do is called asset-backed debt. So which means every private lender has their own promissory note. They got their own in North Carolina. It's a deed of trust. Most states call it a mortgage, collateralizes the note. We name the private lender as the mortgagee on the insurance policy, just like the bank does. Think of the private lender as the bank.
The
right?
bank.
Yeah. So we give them the same protection as the local bank. If there's ever a claim against that insurance policy, then the check is made payable to the private lender and to my company. So they got to sign off on that check before I get the money. We name them on the title policy as an additional insured. So we're looking after our private lenders. So we're making the rules, we're setting the terms, et cetera, and offering that to our private lenders. Ordinary people, everyday people. Our private lenders are retired teachers, civil service workers, police officers, Marine Corps. I've even had minors. I've even had 2 minor children as a private lenders that inherited money from grandparents, and the parents didn't know what to do with it for their children. So these are all ordinary people that we're providing a solution to that want a higher rate of return safely and securely.
That's right. So what are the downsides?
So the downsides, everything comes with risk. Everything comes with risk. So the downside is if you want to be a private lender, you need to know the operator. You need to know, even though you're not going to loan more than 75% of the after repaired value, in other words, one way to look at it is if your borrower, if the real estate investor does not pay you, the property does. That's your legal recourse.
That's right.
You
Yes.
get the property, but you don't want the property. You want to be
No.
passive. You just want to sit back
That's
and
right.
collect checks. So the downside is doing business with an operator, with a real estate investor that you don't know their track record.
And
Now, what's another
Are they
downside?
going to come through?
Yeah. Another downside is, real estate is cyclical, right?
Yes, it is.
Goes up, goes down. Well, what if the market comes down to where you're not protected with the amount of money that you've loaned out on a property? Well, that's
Right.
why I advise not to loan more than 75% of the after repair value. That's going to give you what we call an equity cushion.
That's
So
right.
we want our private lenders to have a 25% equity cushion in case the market does start to come down. Then the property can be liquidated, and then everybody is made whole.
Yes. Yeah. Or you've minimized, hopefully at least to a break-even point. You've
Correct.
minimized the risk,
That's
moderated the risk. So my question to you, because this is a question I ask myself often, I won't tell you how I respond. Which do you think is better, being the bank or being the owner, being
Yes.
the investor?
Yes.
You
So
say
I've been
yes
both.
to both.
Yeah. I've been both. I've been both. My average profits now are unbelievably $86,000 per property. But how in the world do we have that kind of profit? Well, we know how to find these motivated sellers off market. But, I can't think of a better way to use your retirement funds. Of course, you can use your
Right.
retirement funds in a self-directed IRA and actually go invest in a property. But of course, let me ask this question, Bridget. Do we lend the same way we borrow?
No.
We do not lend the same way we borrow.
Right.
And I don't like doing business with existing private lenders that have already been in the game because they know it, right?
That's right.
It's like I'm not putting on my teacher hat to an existing private lender.
Right.
They already know what the deal is, right? And so, they're already spoiled at 12%, 3 points, and that kind of thing. But anyway, those are the risks that come to mind.
I love that you were going over how this is something that is open to everyone, because I'm sure there's someone who's hung in there with us and they're still listening to you and I have this conversation, and they may be sitting there thinking, that sounds great, but I don't know if I trust myself to have something called a self-directed IRA, or this is something for other people that fill in the blank. They're smarter, wealthier, they have more reserves than me. But what I hear you saying is, on either side, being an investor or being a lender is a possibility for anyone.
Absolutely. And the concepts really are simple. The concepts are simple. Now, they may not sound simple if you've never heard of this world, right? But the concepts are really simple to understand. If someone's listening and is saying, wow, I would like some nice returns and sit back and, not have to, negotiate deals and et cetera, and you got retirement funds. Well, I mean, there's some amazing self-directed IRA companies out there. Bridget probably knows some of them. And these companies are more than willing to educate you. They have free education on their websites. The reps are glad to get on the phone with you. And as far as being a private lender, shoot, Bridget, I'd love to give your audience my book for free, Where to Get the Money Now. And this book is a national bestseller. And it speaks to the real estate investors, and it also speaks to the private lend or people that want to learn about private lending. And don't give Amazon $20. Let me give you the book for free, just cover shipping. And I'll autograph it. I'll express mail it to you. You can pick up my book, Where to Get the Money Now. It's all about private money and very, very easy to read.
That's awesome.
At jconnor.com/book. jconnor.com/book.
Anywhere you're consuming this podcast, that link is going to be in the description.
Awesome.
As well as just how to reach out to you for people that want to learn more.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions. We're going to do a little pivot shift here. So I'm going to make a guess that you're older than 29. So what did you do before this? So what were you, and I believe your wife's name is Carol Joy, what were you guys doing before 2003?
Yeah, for years we were in the mobile home business, manufactured
Okay.
housing.
Mm-hmm.
In the 60s and 70s, they called them trailers.
Yes.
And so anyway, my dad, Wallace Connor, he's 92 years old right now and still developing a 350 new build home subdivision at 92 years old.
I love that.
Mercy. But anyway, um, his company was the largest retailer of manufactured housing mobile homes in the nation at one
Okay.
time. So I was born and raised and grew up in this world of helping people own affordable housing. Well, in the
Right.
early 2000s, the financing for the consumer to buy that product went away.
Went
The
away.
whole industry fell out of favor with Wall Street.
Yep.
No
I
more
remember.
consumer financing. And so I knew if I ever got out of, mobile homes, manufactured housing, I wanted to get into single family houses and, I wanted to flip houses. And this was even before
Mm-hmm.
HGTV was on
That's right.
TV. That was
Right.
even before then. And so I knew I wanted to get into it if, I ever got out of mobile homes. And so I didn't have much of a choice. Had to get out of mobile homes because, consumers weren't walking around with the cash
I know.
to buy that product. So yeah, that was my prior life.
Gotcha. And that what a natural segue into it. But you did have to face, I'm sure there was it's easy now for you and I to discuss it, but that had to have brought about some stress and some self-questioning and, am I going to be able to provide? Is it going to work? Am I going to be able to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was stressful, but I was able to raise over $2 million in less than 90 days of people wanting to be private lenders. And then after that first year went by and our business had tripled, I said,
Mm-hmm.
wow, what a blessing in disguise at the time.
That's right. Yeah. Look at what you've been
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
accomplish because of it.
My favorite definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous.
I like that. That's very good. So I want to ask you one other question. So if someone is listening to us and they're saying like, well, sure, this sounds easy because he's been doing it since 2003. He's done the private money since 2009, but the world's different now. I don't have blank, so that wouldn't work for me. What would you say to anyone who is having a limiting belief right now, thinking times changed, opportunities changed, and they're feeling as if they're intrigued, but they feel like it still wouldn't be possible for them? What would you say?
Well, I'll give one statistic. Prior to COVID, 2020, there was $18 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines that people didn't know what to do with. And today there's over 31 trillion in cash. So it all comes down to your mindset, right? It all comes down to mindset. I mean, do you have a mindset of abundance? I mean, do you believe there's money all around you? So I don't think it's a belief of times have changed that might be a limiting belief. I think the limiting belief would be, I can't do that.
Right.
That's the overarching, I can't do that. Well, guess what? You can do that
You can.
when you surround yourself with the right people. I may not be the person for you to surround. I mean, unfortunately, not everybody likes Jay Connor. Thank goodness a lot of people do, right? But surround yourself with someone that's already done what you're interested in doing, and don't try to go about it yourself, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree. Yeah, seek out counsel. The people have done it before. They're going to do it again. You can be one of the people that are going to do it again.
Yes.
And reach out. So don't feel, as if there's no one that would be willing to assist you. There's more than enough to go around.
Absolutely.
There's never-ending deals. It literally a never-ending deal stream. So I like that you have that sentiment, is that take the action. That's the biggest thing, is learn about it. Find people that can assist you, that you trust, and then take that first step.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid of that first step.
That reminds me, I don't know who to give credit to this, but the quote, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power. Implementation of knowledge is power.
It's power. Yeah. Well, Jay, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you are I can hear the energy and excitement in your voice, even after, what is this now? It's going on 17 years of you doing private money?
Yeah, for 17 years for the private money. That's right.
Yeah. And even longer for the investing in real
Yep,
estate.
23.
To hear the level of passion and excitement that you have, and seeing the look on your face of you're exuding your passion for this. So I want to
Yes.
thank you for joining us and sharing that. And again, get that book. The book again is
Jay Conner, JayConner.com/book. And I tell you what, let me just give out 2 more gifts real quick, Bridget.
okay.
So another gift is a free download, So one thing I hear new capital raisers say, or people that are interested in raising money, is I don't know what to say. I mean, how do I
Right.
start a conversation, right? How do we even
Right.
start? Well, the book's going to do that for you, but you can right now, you can download www.jayconner.com/scripts, plural,
Perfect.
and get my Curiosity Opener script. One last gift. Here's a $3,000 gift, Bridget. I do
Okay.
3 live in-person private money conference events a year right here in North Carolina. And the next one is coming up in June. Got another one in October. It's a $3,000 event that allows people to come with a guest. But because your folks are listening, I'm going to give out a special URL. They get to come for a measly $97 registration fee. 3
Wow.
days
Okay.
in person to the private money conference. Here it is, www.jayconner.com/event. And that gets
I
you
love
right
it.
in the door.
I love that. Where is it? In Morehead City?
Yep, Morehead City, Atlantic Beach, North
Okay.
Carolina. Yep.
All right. Very good. Well, I would love to come to that. So
Well, come
if
join
the
the party.
invitation is extended to me, I want to come.
Hey, come to
And
the
it sounds like
party,
it'd be great to bring some
and I'll
of
give
my
you
coaching
I'll give you a
clients too.
slot on stage.
Nice. That would be great. I do love public speaking. So yes, I'm really thrilled about that, Jay. I want to thank you for sharing this opportunity to anyone who's listening, especially anyone who may be feeling as if they have a problem or an obstacle that they cannot overcome to start building their generational wealth through dirt and doors, or generational wealth by being the bank, because both, as you and I know, they're both viable. And they are both open to everybody. So thank you again for doing that. If you are listening to this episode of The Inner Estate, I really hope you'll take advantage, and maybe I'll see you in North Carolina as well. Take advantage of the opportunities and the book that Jay has so graciously shared with us. I also hope you'll come back for the next episode. Thank you. Thank you again, Jay.
Thank you, Bridget.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jayconner.com/moneyguide. That's JCONNER.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jayconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money